Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the Baldur's Gate 3 characters on a tier list on who I'd like to go on a road trip with. So this is following up after my Baldur's Gate 3 as roommates tier list. Someone requested that I do it with them going on a road trip, so I'm going to be ranking them based on who I'd like to go on a road trip with. It's kind of funny idea. So Shadowheart, I feel like Shadowheart would be pretty good to go on a road trip with. Compared to some of the other characters we get into later in this tier list, I feel like Shadowheart is pretty good. She depends on where in the game we're getting Shadowheart. If it's near Act 3, Shadowheart's awesome. But if it's the Shar Shadowheart, maybe a B tier. I'm going to put her in the A tier because it is kind of all over the place with her. Shadowheart is great. I feel like she'd be good on a road trip. Next we got Gale, and I feel like Gale would make a road trip a whole lot more fun because Gale's kind of witty and dorky, I guess. He's got a lot of knowledge, so you'd be driving down the road and he'd be like, oh, that is so-and-so's manor or something like that. Like, he would know a lot about the world that we're exploring, and the guy's a dork, kind of funny. So I think that Gale would actually be S tier because he just brings the comedic relief that we need on a road trip, and I'm sure he has some type of magic to make the road trip a bit more enjoyable. Next we have Astarion, and I ranked Astarion lower in the roommate tier list because he's a vampire after all, but on a road trip I feel like that isn't really as much of a worry, depending on if you got a separate like hotel or separate camp. I guess you can camp with him in the game and he's not too bad, but I would probably put Astarion. It's hard to say. It's funny, the lore behind Astarion, he used to be a magistrate in the city, so he's probably got some pretty cool stories to tell. Opposed to like someone like Shadowheart who's lost her memory, I feel like Astarion would be kind of like Gale, and it's just enjoyable to go on a road trip with. And if you find any carcasses on the side of the road, I'm sure he would enjoy it as well. So, yeah. Next we got Lae'zel, and I feel like she would bring a lot. Like if she brings a dragon to the road trip, you know, like we could switch up our methods of travel a little bit with that. Lae'zel would be pretty decent. I feel like if we kept her away from Shadowheart, she'd be good because they could be going at each other's necks if we have them sitting together in the car. But as long as you have someone like Will maybe sitting between them, I'd put Lae'zel probably in the A tier. I know some people really don't like Lae'zel, but I'm going to be fair. Compared to a lot of these other characters, Lae'zel's not too bad. So going on a road trip, it may be better to have some other companions around, but I want to put her in the A tier, maybe B tier. Some people may feel like a lower tier, but I'll leave her up there. Next we got Will, the Blade of Frontiers, and he's got some pretty cool stories to tell too. He's one of the younger. Lae'zel is actually the youngest of the companions, and Shadowheart's 48, which is kind of funny to know, but at a young age, he is very powerful. I would say that Will is, some people, I see people hating on Will. I think that he goes in the S tier, honestly. Will would be a good one to go on a road trip with. Izora pranking him along the way would make it a little bit more enjoyable, I guess, but Will's a good character. I think he's highly underrated for what he does. It's just that some of the other characters are more spectacle than Will, so it makes him easier to have in your party. Next we got Karlach, and I would say that she'd be great as well. If we have Will and Karlach together and they're all happy doing their thing, I feel like that'd be a pretty good vibe on the road trip. Also, if your car breaks down, I feel like she could figure it out because she's got the infernal engine inside of her, and I feel like if cars existed in Faerun, I feel like she'd be good with cars. So I think she goes in the S tier for that as well. So yeah, solid list so far. Next we have the Dark Urge. Now I also ranked, I love the Dark Urge origin. I think it's the best way to play Baldur's Gate 3. Playing as a resist, Dark Urge is incredible. I'm going to put Dark Urge in the F tier. I feel like they would not be that good to go on a road trip with, in all honesty, because yeah, it's just they're a ball spawn. They want to do Dark Urge things, so I'll put them in the F tier just because I wouldn't want to really go on a road trip with them. Let's be honest. Next we got Halsin, and I think that he'd be really great. The nice benefit of Halsin is if you're going exploring and let's say you just find a random trail and a bear comes along, you can get Halsin to turn into a bear and scare them away. So for that, I want to put him in the S tier. Halsin, I feel like, is a pretty happy-go-lucky type of dude, so it'd be good to have him on a road trip. I feel like he wouldn't bring any problems, so we were pretty stacked heavy on the S tier because it's all the origin characters. I feel like they'd all be really great. Next is Minthara. Minthara is the funniest person that I know. I think Minthara is a really great character. In the roommates tier list, I ranked her really low because I feel like she wouldn't be the greatest roommate, but if she's on your good side and you're going on a road trip, I feel like she'd be pretty good too. I find the way that she talks hilarious. It's almost like she's a funnier Lae'zel and how brutal she is. Lae'zel's brutal just because she was taught that way. Minthara was kind of taught that way too, but she's just brutal to the core. Like, I don't know what it is about her, but when she says certain things in the game, I'm laughing. I'm like, you're so cruel. And it would be fun to see her interactions with other characters like Gale. It's just so funny. So I'll put her in the A tier. Next we have Jaheira, and I feel like she's also an S tier choice, similar to Halsin. As a druid, she can turn into a bear and help out. So for that, S tier. But also she's kind of got like in the game, it feels like she kind of got like the like caregiver vibes. Like she would take care and make sure that like if we're on a road trip, like, oh, we're getting the bathroom breaks in, or just general planning and mapping things out. I feel like she's probably one of the smarter of the Origin character, or Origin plus companions. So yeah, I would say that she's, I guess, ranking these inter ranks, probably something like that. Maybe she's up a little bit higher. Yeah, something like that maybe. Next we got Minsk and Boo, and having Boo is huge. Having a miniature giant space hamster is massive. I'm also going to put them up high. Minsk is hilarious. If you haven't recruited him, highly recommend doing it, because he just adds a whole lot to Act 3, and I find his character really funny. And again, on a road trip, the comedic relief characters are great to have around, so that's why they're all ranked so high. And yeah, Minsk and Boo. You get Boo too, so you get him coming along as well. But next we got the Emperor, and I feel like I don't know if I really would want to go on a road trip with them, because they would just be, you'd be in the car and he'd be flying right beside it. So yeah, I'm gonna put them in the F tier, because mind flare things. I don't want that in the car. Next we got Raphael. In the roommate tier list I put him in F tier, but I might actually move him up a little bit. I feel like he's a devil. It's, you know, I feel like it'd be kind of fun on a road trip. Like if you're going to Vegas on a road trip, yeah, you'd probably want to have Raphael there. You wouldn't want to, but I mean, if you were forced to have him there, he'd be kind of funny to have around, I would say, in a similar vein to having Minthara. But yeah, I'm not going to put him up as high as some of the other characters, but in the roommate tier list, I did put him in F tier. So next we got Mizora. I think for the same purpose, I'm going to put her probably in the B tier, and just the interactions with Will makes the ride more fun. I feel bad for Will, but I feel like he's accepted what he's done in the past to get where he is, and he is really powerful. Like, I did a tier list talking about the strongest characters before Baldur's Gate 3 went down, and Gale and Will were two of the strongest. So yeah. Next we got Roland and Zavlar. I forgot his name last time. I looked it up and I forgot it again. And he's such a... If you raid the Grove, his reaction is really sad. I feel like he should go in the A tier. He'd probably be a good guide, similar to Jaheira, just not as like comedic relief as some of these other characters. So I'm weighing that into the deciding factor if they'd be a good road trip companion. But Alfira the Bard, easy S tier. Depending on how we're picturing this road trip, I didn't really discuss the nuances of it, but she would play music for us. If this is like a futuristic in an actual road trip car, she'd probably have songs. She'd be the one on Spotify. I feel like she's got good music taste. So Alfira the Bard, I'll probably put her somewhere maybe ahead of Astarion. And then Roland, he's just kind of a jerk, but I feel like similar to Gale, he does have some usefulness if you're on a road trip, so I'll put him in the B tier. He does kind of beef with other sorcerers or other wizards, so yeah, it just depends how much you like Roland. Next we have Scleratus Fell, F tier. And Wolbrin Bongle, also F tier. Screw that guy. He wanted to take out all the gnomes. We don't like that. Wolbrin Bongle and... Oh my god, I was saying their name in the card today, I forget. Two guys' names, I can't seem to remember all these characters' names all at once. Drawn blank on this, but it's a guy that's strapped to the windmill. I feel bad for him. I feel like he is a good character, though. So I'll put him in the A tier. Scratch, road trip dog. Heck yeah. Scratch is the goodest boy. He's coming along. Definitely. It's tough to rate him above actual people because he doesn't talk, but if you could bring an owlbear, like if we're in an RV or in like a big carriage or something, these two have to come along. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Speaking of butts, I don't know how we'd get his in the car. The Drider is not fitting in a car. He's a big half spider, and I feel like that's just too gross to have around. So, yeah, I'll put him in the F tier. I put Theobald in the F tier last time, and someone said justice for Theobald, but just think about if he bursts open and you got to clean them up on a road trip. F tier for that. Gold lady, F tier. She's crazy. Him, yes, same. And yeah, all three of Ketheric's kids are a little bit wild. I would not want to go on a road trip with them. Balthazar, same deal. He's also pretty wild. Going in the F tier. Next, we got Elminster. I would say Elminster's probably a pretty good one to go on a road trip with. He would have a lot of stories. I'll put him right below Gale. He would have a lot of stories to tell. He's been through a lot, and I feel like wizards just bring some extra magic that may be useful on a road trip. So, I feel like, yeah, he would also have really cool stories to tell. So, A tier. Next, we got Ketheric. I'm going to rank him slightly ahead of his the children, the Thorms. Ketheric Thorm, great voice actor J.K. Simmons. So I'm going to put him in the C tier, but I still feel like he might even go up B tier. I just haven't put anyone in the C tier, so maybe I'll put him in Gortash there, because I feel like certain characters would be a little bit more fun to go on a road trip with. I feel like Raphael, as I say, going to Las Vegas with him. But I also put Gortash in the C tier, because I feel like of the three, no, Ketheric's probably the least bad. He's just like a tyrant. He just wants to have control. So going on a road trip, I feel like he wouldn't be like super enjoyable, but he wouldn't be as bad as some of the F tier. Orin, yeah, F tier easily. I don't want to have her in a road trip. She's just a little bit much. Withers, I would say Withers is pretty good. I might even put Withers up in the S tier. Because if something is to happen, he can bring people back. So that's awesome. Also, if you need to respect your class, if you want everyone to be a bard, just go talk to Withers. Everyone can become bards one night. It'd be a whole lot of fun. Yurgir, yeah, he's not the worst character ever. I might put him in the C tier too, because he's not like, he helps out against Raphael too. Like, similar interests. I feel like he's not like the most evil character in Baldur's Gate 3, so he stays out of the F tier because of that, but also not one that I really would want to go on a road trip with. Mostly it's just like A tier to S tier. Isabel and Dame Aelin, I would say both S tiers, because or maybe I'll put them in the A tier. I don't know, I feel like having them around is a good vibe. Dame Aelin has one of the coolest moments in the game whenever she takes Lorokan over her head and then smashes him off her knee. I think that was a really cool moment in the game, so she could go in the S tier for that. Same with Isabel, because it's kind of a group deal. But I'll put them in the A tier maybe. Yes, maybe somewhere around there. Or they could go S tier. Actually, yeah, I'll put them S tier because they got a lot of power. And Dame Aelin, super cool. Cazador. I like Astarion too much to ever put him above the F tier. So, yeah, he's going in the F tier just because of that. Viconia Devere from the previous Baldur's Gate games. She's evil, quite evil. If you have Shadowheart, don't have her around. But I feel like she's not the worst character ever, so I'll take her out of the F tier. In the previous video, I had her in the F tier, so yeah, C tier. The Shares Caress people, enough said. I'd probably put them in A tier. I feel like it'd make it more fun, I guess. I accidentally called it the Dream Visitor in my last video, but yeah, no, there's someone else. And finally, Omilium. Yeah, I don't know. Again, going back to the whole Mind Flayer, I don't want that mess in the car, but he's a good one. So I would put him in the B tier because he really does mean well. And he's trying to get the Mind Flayers to stop eating brains, so good for him. But there it is. There's my Baldur's Gate 3 tier list of going on a road trip with the characters. So Jaehaera, Halsin, Minsc, Gale, Karlach, Althira, Astarion, Will, Scratch, Owlbear, Cub, Withers, Isabel, and Dame Aelin. Probably all great road trip companions. Also great companions. Shadowheart, Minthara, Lae'zel. Even they could go in the S tier, I feel. Elminster, Zevlor. Oh my goodness, there it is. It's in my brain. Zevlor, Shares Caress, and still blanking on Buddy here. They're all A tier. Raphael gets a little boost. He should be like C tier, but just imagine going to Vegas with Raphael. That's what I'm basing that off. Same with Mizora. So there it is. Just don't enter any contracts with them and you're fine. And yeah, let me know in the comments who you'd like to go on a road trip with from the Baldur's Gate 3 characters. And yeah, this is a fun video. So if you have any other requests for these, let me know, because these are fun to make, and I think about them a lot. I put a lot of thought into these things. So yeah, hit that subscribe button below if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.